What's up, mixed reactions? It's Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. We're a little shorthanded. It's myself and Casey Merritt here bringing you the Wildcard recap. How you doing today, Casey?
Doing well, man. And, shout out to our two co-hosts that aren't here tonight. Hopefully they'll be back soon. But gotta say, man, we are the two most consistent members of Mixed Reactions here.
Man, and speaking of consistency, do we have a lot to talk about from this past Wildcard weekend?
Speaking of that, let me get right into it. Your shirt is fitting, man. I'm Justin, Sean, both picked the Vikings. You and I, brother, we're both like, I see it. I see it with the Rams. I see this team have the best pass rush in the league since midway through the point of the season. We were talking about how line is not going to be able to hold through. And boy, oh boy, were we right on that. What was it? Tied an NFL record for 9 sacks.
Yeah, we were all over them.
And you guys were phenomenal. Your defense was ferocious. Got kind of I want to say a little bit of lucky call with the Matt Stafford fumble, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know how much of a difference that was in the game. You guys are going to Philly. How's it feel?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about this earlier. I wanted to give you credit because
You're frozen. If you're talking, I can't hear you. I can't hear me.
oh, okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. No, all I was gonna say is, yeah, you were saying, they might win a playoff game, but I didn't think we were gonna win a playoff game. Number one, in the fashion that we did. Number two, I mean, all the circumstances, and the number three, that was the best wild card team ever. And I wasn't ready to trust Sam Darnold in the playoffs, and I see why. Granted, we have a lot to fix when it comes to Philadelphia. I think our offense. I mean, that was the first time in what 4 weeks that we had been over what 17 points. Um, but it's gonna be tough going into Philly. I think our defense is mature enough. I think we'll do better against Jalen Hurts than we would have done against a quarterback like that in the past.
Fair. I mean, you said not to Sam Darnold in the playoffs, and I wasn't going to make it about Sam Darnold. I've been Vikings aren't that good train for. I've been saying it pretty.
Hey, it's cutting out really bad. Fuck this shit. Hold on. Cause it says recording. Give us 1 second, mixed reactions. Um, okay, there we go. Yep. Go ahead. You're good. Sorry about that, folks. It disconnected me from the Wi-Fi, but you're good now.
Got you. So what I was saying, just I'll kind of just tailor back, I suppose. I've been on the I didn't believe in Minnesota hype for months. If you guys can go back in the archives to watch if you'd like, I've been saying it for months. I didn't have any faith in Minnesota, and it really didn't have much to do with Sam Darnold per se. I mean, if you look at last night's game, Sam Darnold's not the most blameful person on that team. Their offensive line got absolutely shredded. Like I said, they let up 9 sacks. Their Kevin O'Connell flat out got outcoached by Sean McVay. No question about it. Also, I got to give a lot credit here to just the Rams. I think it was way more so of a Rams win than a Vikings loss. Now,
Hmm.
Sam Darnold didn't have the best game of his career by any stretch of the imagination, holding on the ball way too long, as he has done all season long. But at the same time, it's more of a credit giving win than it is a blame piling loss. And I think the Rams have a good chance to go out and do some damage in Philly this weekend, man. I really do. We'll get to it in the pick segment. I'm not saying I'm picking the Rams, but I think that's probably the best game of the weekend, even though everyone thinks
Hmm.
Buffalo and Baltimore. I think the truly best game that we're going to see is going to be between the Rams and the Eagles.
Yeah, I agree as well. Like I said, I think our defense has matured a lot over the season, and Philly. I mean, granted, you look at the final score against Green Bay; they definitely did their thing, and it really didn't look like it was in doubt. But Philly's offense didn't look great. So ultimately, it's gonna be Sirianni versus McVay. It's gonna be Stafford versus Hurts. I like our matchups. Um, we'll see what the status of Higbee is gonna be this weekend, but yeah, I think we have a chance to going into Philly.
I really think it's right now, it's the best pass rush that's left in the playoffs versus the best offensive line that's left in the playoffs. I
Hmm.
think a it's a classic tale of the tape, almost of the irresistible force meets the immovable object, and we'll
Hmm.
just see what one comes out on top. And if you guys can get to Hurts, get him some happy feet, put some pressure on him, force him into some throws that he wouldn't typically make, I give a lot of hope for the Rams. There's
I don't think we're gonna get beat on big plays.
I don't either.
I think
I
that's what we're gonna change.
big place to develop. The one thing that still, of course, I don't want to say hindering, but one thing that be sticking in my head if I was a Rams fan is that bad man of a running back that the Eagles have in Saquon Barkley. He is a threat anytime he touches the ball. He needs to be your major focus this weekend. And I know they have playmakers on the outside, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. We can go on for days about how talented the Eagles roster is, but you need to be dead set focused on stopping Saquon Barkley, who's going to win Offensive Player of the Year, could have broken the rushing title this year if he didn't sit out for Week 18.
Hmm.
He has a game like he did against you guys on Sunday Night Football in the Rams' house, no mind you. It's going to be the same outcome, unfortunately.
Wonder what the weather for that one is gonna be. Let me see. But yeah, I mean, we're going. I don't know, man. I feel like we have the experience at this point. We know what this Boy Cooper Cup is in his former self, but we'll see. Like I said, what Higby can come back as. I think Puka's ready for the moment, and Kyron Williams is having the best season he's had. So it's gonna come to how well we can protect Stafford. Eagles have been playing well, especially on the line lately. Like I said, offensively against Philly, they kind of stalled out, but they um ultimately I do like Philly's defense. Let's see, the weather could give Philly the upper hand, so it's probably gonna be fucking cold. Oh, oh. The forecast calls for potentially several inches of snow as an Arctic sweeps across the region. Temperatures are expected to hover in the upper 30s to lower 40s at kickoff, possibly get colder as the game progresses. But it doesn't really say any type of potentially several inches of snow. Will be good. But you know who wasn't good? Goddamn Chargers, man. They got the fucking brakes beaten off of them.
And the way Houston came out of the gate in that game, I was feeling pretty confident in my pick in the Chargers at first. I mean, they had a few games, and then it all just fell flat, man. Justin Herbert, I think, threw 3 picks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was three.
I'm almost positive it was 3. They could not get a tough, tough watch. The only game, to be honest with you, that was interesting for the entirety of Wild Card Weekend was the Bucks and the Commanders.
I think
I
I picked Washington. I can go back in the picks. I don't know who I had.
I picked Tampa. I mean, I know I picked Tampa for sure. The That was the only game that kept my interest from start to finish. Every other game was turning into a blowout. I mean, you could say I wouldn't say the Philly Green Bay game was a blowout. It was a lot more one sided than the score indicated when it was 10-0. Jordan Love had a pretty off game as well, and Green Bay made it semi interesting. towards the end, but nothing that really ever would have concerned Philly.
Yeah, and the Baltimore rolled, which I was hoping the Pittsburghs gave them a little bit more resistance, but I think a lot of us saw that coming. Commanders obviously won. Uh,
And
Texans won. Who was the first? Oh, and then Buffalo. Denver looked like they might try to hang around there in the beginning, but
the
those are
first
just
drive,
two.
it looked
I mean,
awesome on that drive.
yeah, I mean Troy Franklin big touchdown, and then they come and Buffalo's just too good. It is what it is, but we'll see if they can go. They can win at home this weekend against the Ravens, but it was a bunch of really good games, man. I can't believe we're already in the divisional round, and the
This
Rams are
season,
the only team standing.
it's a great feeling. That's one thing that you need to hang out on, because I know coming into this season, you weren't sold. You were thinking 7 to 8 wins, if I'm not mistaken. And so to be in this position is one of those things where I think the Rams itself, of course, pending Stafford, of course. I mean, who knows if he's getting up there in age. So as you get up in age, the decline starts to happen. But if you guys can maybe add another piece or two, I think you can keep this Super Bowl window open for a couple more years.
Yeah, maybe open just a tiny bit, but open nonetheless. I like Braden Fisk. I mean Jared Burst. That dude's turning into a problem. Young.
He's turning into a
Hey,
star before.
yeah, I don't know if it's the audio's delay. It's like I don't know if it's some stuff's cutting out or it's just when you're moving your. But it's I don't know. Um, but yeah, with our defense, I like it. Because the thing is, the crazy thing is, if Washington can somehow pull off a win, which I don't know if they'll be able to, but we'll go over that. And we could somehow win. We get to play at home for the NFC Championship. If I'm not mistaken, the year where we went to the Super Bowl, I think we had like the 3 seed. We didn't have like the 1 or 2 seed. And the Niners had like this 7 seed or some. But yeah, we didn't get to the Super Bowl when we were the 1 seed. So I don't know, man. To play at that level is different. But I mean, look how banged up Detroit is. I don't see any reason Jaden Daniel can't go in there and dice them up, but they're gonna have to keep him upright. And if he gets a chance to throw the ball, I don't think there's any reason they can't beat Detroit.
I mean, first and foremost, my audio. How's it sound right now?
It sounds a lot better. I don't know if it was because it was like some of the stuff will cut in and out, but you sound a lot better.
Okay. As far as the Jaden Daniels situation going into Detroit and winning that game, you're asking a hell of a lot out of a rookie. Nonetheless, a rookie who's played extremely well the entirety of the season. But going into that environment to beat the number 1 seed on the road, I can't foresee that taking place. It's going to be Detroit. I mean, I know we have our pick segment coming up later, but I don't think even with what you saw this past Sunday, you're going to be taking Washington to beat Detroit. Now, I see your point, of course, because if you guys go into Philly and win, Washington goes into Detroit and wins, you would end up hosting Washington in the NFC title game. Man, who if that does happen, right? Say that happens.
Rams and Washington.
NFC Championship game would have been Rams and the Commanders at the start of the season. It's like, this ain't Madden. This doesn't happen.
And then in the AFC, you're gonna have like Chiefs, Bills, or like something completely expected. Or Chiefs, Ravens.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't see it happening, but it's the NFL. It's a one and done. This is why the NFL is the best playoff in sports. It's a one and done. You can have one bad half, and it can cost you your season.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough. But speaking of tough, Ashton Genty had a rough Fiesta Bowl, and boy is he falling down draft boards.
He is falling down draft boards, and I gotta say, I'm not hating it that he is, to be honest with you. I mean, when you look at it like this, he potentially, not saying he will, could potentially fall to Dallas. And I'm not sure if you've heard the interview. Dallas is where he wants to go. So I think we need to not make the same mistake we made this past offseason with Derrick Henry and do everything in our power to get Ashton Genty to be a Dallas Cowboy, especially now that we have finally let go of Mike McCarthy. I'm not happy that a fellow man lost his job. Like, I will never be happy about that. You know what I mean? But I'm excited for the direction it's going to take my favorite football team. Nothing against Mike McCarthy, the man, but as a fan of this team, I am really excited about the direction it could be going. I'm not sold on the primetime thing. I don't think that's going to happen. He says it's intriguing. He says he loves Jerry. He says he's rooting for Jerry, but then not really backtracks, but then adds to it by saying he's happy where he is and he's focused on that team and he's focused on things that are happening in Colorado, which is fine. No problem. But if the primetime thing, which I'm anticipating it doesn't happen, and if it doesn't, they need to focus on Ben Johnson. They need to focus on Glenn. What we do not need to do is go take a look at Pete Carroll. What we don't need to do is take more or Ron Rivera, any of them. No offense to Ron Rivera, no offense to Pete Carroll. I don't want that type of coach in that system again. I want a fresh coach. I want somebody who is going to bring new life to the team.
Ben Johnson's got to be the best candidate at the moment.
I would imagine Ben Johnson's going to be the best candidate. I mean, the way that he has impacted the Lions offense and how inventive it is and how well their offensive scheme seems to just fall into place week in and week out, I would definitely like a Ben Johnson. I need Jerry to get his head out of his ass and that he needs to control every aspect of this team. I mean, the word's out on Dallas. If you don't abide to Jerry, you're going to be gone. And that's not an intriguing place for a lot of coaches because they don't want the owner breathing down their neck.
Yeah, and especially, a lot of guys they want to play for. I mean, it's the Cowboy. I don't want to compare it to go too deep, compare it to the Yankees, but I mean that's the premier. A lot of guys want to play for the Cowboys, but at this point, Jerry, they there's so many guys that have probably told horror stories about it. Guys don't want to go to play there, and then but you have a guy like Ashton Genty, and even when Derrick Henry was saying he wanted to play there, like you got to get that guy. Just secure a running back. You don't have to worry about a running back for at least the next 5 years. You already have a top 5 receiver in CD Lamb. And you'll be good. And then now you're gonna have to worry about what you're gonna do about the quarterback situation. But I mean, that can be not a placeholder, I guess. While you wait to get an actual franchise quarterback. But he's, oh well, you don't have a quarterback right now. Like you guys will deal with it if you guys had an amazing running back.
Dak is a franchise quarterback, so to speak, because he's good and like obviously, he was our starting 3 straight seasons. It's not like people who don't watch football and people who just read what they see on the internet will try to combat you all day long. Oh, Dak is terrible. Dak is this. Dak is that. But when you actually sit down and break down his stats and when you sit down and break down his win-loss record, the Dak is not a good quarterback argument. It's facetious. It doesn't hold any weight. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Dak's elite. He's with Mahomes and Burrow and, Lamar, Josh Allen. He's the tier below that. And I'm okay with that. You can win with that. I don't know if you can win a Super Bowl like that unless everything has to align perfectly, a la with Joe Flacco and Eli Manning. Everything has to align perfectly for those types of quarterbacks to win Super Bowls, which happens. It really does. And I don't necessarily foresee it with Dallas. It just seems to be our I don't want to use the word luck, but the fate of our franchise almost it seems at this point.
Your destiny.
Yeah, it's to fall short. And I mean, I don't think that will be the case forever and ever, of course, but just it's the course of our fate right now. We'll probably bounce back next year, have a nice 11, 10, 12, somewhere win season, providing everybody stays healthy, of course, and we draft Genty. probably be somewhere around 10, 11, 12 wins, potentially win the wild card and lose in the divisional. But Dak's one of those quarterbacks, and he's almost like the middle management quarterbacks, if that makes sense. It's right in the tier of he's not quite the corporate level. Like, he's not quite Patrick. He's not quite Josh. He's not quite Joe Burrow. But you're not going to find somebody off the streets that's better than him either.
Yeah, and that's why I understand giving him up, because I know I get exactly what you're saying. Dak is, no disrespect to Cooper Rush, he's a lot better than he on his worst day he can bring you a lot better than. I mean, he's just a different caliber of player than the guys that cycle through the leagues constantly as backups. What's his fucking name? They used to like Chase Daniel, guys like that. They just cycle through the leagues as backups, and he's a good starter. He's a guy to where I have faith that if everything else could fall in line, I'd be like, all right, Dak can win the Super Bowl, but everything else would have to fall in line because I think he's a good enough quarter. He's now
He's
if he
not
was he'd be upper
going
half.
to, he's not the guy that's going to erase all of the mistakes on the field. He's not that.
He's not going to save their ass.
Right. He's not. He, in a regular season game, sure, he can do that. Like, he has plenty of game-winning drives. Like, sure. But you and I both know the playoffs and the Super Bowl are a completely different level of pressure. And he's not the guy that's going to overcome a, 45 points let up by the defense. He's not the guy that's going to let up, your two starting offensive tackles went out and your wide receiver, sprained his ankle and has to miss the rest of the game and the running back's hurt. He's not the quarterback that you are going to need to rely on to win you in those particular situations. He's just not. And it is what it is. And one thing that I would say as a Cowboys fan that really bothers me about Dak Prescott, and as much as I respect him, as much as I respect him as a quarterback and as a player and as a leader, in front of the microphone, right? Dak, he has what's called a silver tongue. And what I mean by that is he says the exact right things all the time. And he will always put the blame on himself. He always does that. He always says how much he's looking forward to get back to work, how hard he's worked, how excited he is for the season, and how he can't wait to prove people wrong. He says this consistently, but obviously he's gotten better since his rookie year as a quarterback, but it's not to the extent where I trust his words anymore because it's the same thing every year. He says the same thing over and over and over and over again. And while he's grown as a player, there hasn't been growth as a team.
Mm-hmm. Especially with a lot of the core of those guys they have for so long. But yeah, I mean we'll see what happens with Dallas at that position or where they go. But man, did the Packers finally miss? Oh, wait, what?
Oh, well, you said that we'll see where they go at the quarterback position. Like, there's no question mark as far as like next year. Dak's gonna be the starter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think next year he is going to be the starter. I don't think there's any way around that. And then probably throughout this next year, we'll still hear the rumors and everything about what's going to happen. But yeah, did the Packers finally make a mistake? Do they not have another generational guy? Three picks.
Don't have a generational, and we can't judge a quarterback based off a single game. Like,
Yeah.
Peyton had those type of games before, and obviously highly Peyton Manning is regarded as one of the greatest ever. I think the Packers still have a very solid franchise quarterback in Jordan Love. Do I think he's going to be Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre? No. I mean, it would be an almost statistically impossible thing to get 3 straight quarterbacks to that caliber, especially when you look at Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. They're both top 10 quarterbacks of all time. Mm-hmm. There's no way that I see Jordan Love having that type of success. I see Jordan Love having a very, very successful career. He potentially win a Super Bowl, maybe MVP sprinkled in here and there. But to be at the and Rodgers level, no way. I can't see that happening.
Yeah, I kind of knew it was gonna happen in Green Bay, especially they've been just decimated. But dude, the crazy thing is, you had a team that went 14-3, and now they're sitting at home after the wild card round. That's crazy.
Testament to your team, man. When you guys are healthy, you can beat almost anybody, I believe. That includes Detroit. That includes Philadelphia. Ian, your pass rush is elite. They recorded 9 sacks against the Vikings.
Felt like a home
That is
game too.
it's crazy. And they have that what's the word I'm looking for? They have like that not inspiration, because obviously every team plays inspired, but okay, for a lack of a better term and for a corny metaphor, they have like the town behind them in LA now. Like, sports are the one thing at times that can make people forget about the stress that's going on in their lives. The sports is the one thing that can bring communities together, and especially in a time right now like in LA, the Rams are something that city needs this right now. And you guys are like the darlings almost right now in the NFL world.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with that viral video going around, you're going against the villains in the Eagles. The whole outside of Philadelphia is rooting for you guys. I guarantee.
That video was ridiculous, but yeah, no, I think it's great that we got the win, but we need to really start actually focusing on Philly, because if not, we're gonna go into the Lincoln Financial and get the fucking piss beaten out of us.
All starts on the field. All that great motivation talk means nothing once you're on that field.
Mm-hmm.
You to be ready.
I know you mentioned Saquon earlier. Obviously, let me sit up in the chair. My bad. I feel like I was kind of sinking away. That's all I've been worried about with them facing Philly is how are we going to stop Saquon. I think they're going to do better against Jalen Hurts. I think Sean McVay is a good enough coach. I think he makes good enough decisions to where I always have more faith as the season goes along, because I feel like we improve over the season better than a lot of teams do. But it's going to be rough, man, especially if he's out there breaking tackles. Like, we're going to need to gang tackle him to have any type of chance, and not, and hold him to 3. They're gonna get down whether it's throwing to their great receiving core or it's giving the ball to, they're gonna get down the field at some point. But making sure we bend, don't break.
You're not gonna stop Saquon. Nobody can stop.
Oh no,
Saquon.
no, hold them under 120. Maybe they ain't gonna put the ball on the ground, but don't let them get those short, something. Don't let them hit those home runs either. Don't let them bust 250 yards.
What got to avoid the home runs? Because you got to know, gonna occasionally rip off an 8, a 12, a 15. That's gonna happen to the game. It's Saquon Barkley. He's phenomenal. He's gonna get those type of runs to the course of the game. But anything over 25, 30, those are the runs that you really, really need to prevent.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's gonna be tough, man. It's been a heck of a season. You're right. We are kind of the darlings right now, but God, we got
100%. You got media darlings right now, man.
Yeah, I think your audio is fine. I think it's just, I don't know if it's the video's delayed, but it's like I'm looking at you, and maybe that's why I think that it's delayed. But I think it sounds fine. Like, if you guys want to just strap your headphones on and listen to us. But okay, so yeah, we're about 29 minutes in. What do you say we go ahead and knock these picks out?
Let's get to it. And for the first game Saturday at 30, we have C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans heading into Arrowhead to play the very well-rested Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm going with the Chiefs.
Yeah, Texans are playing. There is a lot to be said about a team that's playing with house money, but not against my homeboy. I got Kansas City.
Kansas City. So we're both on Kansas City. We'll get Justin and Sean's picks too. They'll get him in the chat. So for Saturday nights, we have Jade Daniels and the Washington Commanders heading into Detroit City to play Jared Goff and the Lions. Who you got, Ian?
I got Detroit. I was talking about a lot of mess on Washington earlier, but I got the Lions.
Yeah, I got the Lions too, pretty comfortably, to be honest. I think this is where that Cinderella story for the Commanders comes to an abrupt end. Give me the Lions. I think that game might be the least interesting, so to speak. So Sunday, Mr. Blackwell, we have your Los Angeles Rams heading into Philadelphia to play the Eagles. And Ian, I want you to make eye contact with me on this one, buddy. Give me the Rams.
I knew there was something about you, pause. Man, it's not just because I'm not a homer. I'm going with the Rams as well. I think we got it. I don't think Philly. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I don't think we're going to make any mistakes. I don't know how many Philly's going to make, but I don't think Jalen Hurts going to hurt us with his legs, and I think we get the TDs when we need them. All right, Rams, Lions.
Final game, we have Baltimore Ravens heading into Buffalo to play the Bills. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Give me the Bills. Give me the Bills. I obviously Baltimore on Sunday night earlier in the year, but I think they bounce back. They look almost unbeatable right now. Give me the Bills.
Yeah, they played earlier this year, didn't they?
Yeah, Baltimore smacked them around.
On Sunday night or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know, man. The Bills are dangerous, and they have a good run game and a good pass game. I just don't know what to expect from Josh Allen. Like the Ravens, man, like this is a matchup. The AFC is so.
Out. Zay Flowers out.
Oh, those Zay Flowers. Dude, it's in Buffalo. I got Buffalo.
Smart man.
We got literally all the exact same picks. What's the final score? What's your total points for the final game? For the Buffalo game?
57.
43.
I'm thinking like 30-27 Buffalo.
30-27. Damn, that's 57. Okay. Man, we're already getting towards the end of the season. National championship for college is on Monday. Ohio State, Notre Dame, which is a great historic matchup. I think
the bonus that give me Notre Dame.
Really? That I don't know, man. Ohio State's look like a machine. God damn. Damn, man, that's tough. That's a tough one. They've been both. Damn, I hate Notre Dame, but I got Ohio State.
Okay. I mean, I don't fault you for the pick. It's a sensible choice. I totally understand. I just got this feeling Notre Dame comes up with the upset and wins it by a field goal.
Rudy. You know, I've never seen that full movie.
I haven't either.
I was watching the clips from D2 earlier. He said, "That's my knuckle puck." Ladies love.
So before, because it's only two of us, so it'll be, a decently short show tonight. Before we dive into the question, any NBA topics cover really quickly? Anything you've been noticing?
No, nothing really that I've been noticing. Detroit is, like Sean was mentioning in the chat, they have really impressed me, but no, I mean, I think it's the same that we thought it'd be about this point of the season. I mean, I think Cleveland every day. I kind of take them more seriously, but I still don't think they're fucking with you guys in a 7 game series, especially if you guys are healthy. I think Boston's to the point where they have so much experience across the board on their roster in the playoffs that they don't need the higher seed. What about you? Anything in the? I've been killing motherfuckers on 2K. I'm like 78 and 37, so that's a plus.
That's
Oh, I've been killing, man. I'm telling you, the goddamn all time Blazers, Brandon Roy hitting them, man. I was like, oh, I gotta give it to Brandon Roy. You know what? Benedict Matherin. That's another one of those bro. He does not miss. He's one of those random. Like we're gonna look back 10 years from now and be like, what was a player that you had 2K25? Benedict Matherin. That man is like Ray Allen mixed with God in 2K.
you know, the fact that you used the all-time Blazers, that touches the soul here, man. I mean, man, I love me some Brandon Roy, bro. So that's amazing, actually. That brings a smile to my face, like a real legitimate one. That's awesome.
Brandon Roy to Clyde the Glide.
That's
Oh,
badass. So as far real quick before we get into the question, just you asked me about NBA. I'm I'm still iffy on Boston right now. And I don't know if it's because I I don't know if it's my emotion aspect of it, but I seen them lose too many double digit leads this season. I think it's up to 6 now that they have blown. And I don't know if it's because it's the regular season, so they quote unquote like check out and just aren't fully invested into it. Even if that is the case, that's not good practice for the playoffs, man. Especially when you get to Cleveland. If you have to go through Cleveland, I could see that series coming down to a 7th game, and a 7th game in Cleveland. I don't know if Boston comes out the victor in that game right now.
yeah, it's tough, and like I was saying, they have so much experience that they might be getting to the point like, oh well, as long as we get there, it don't matter if we have to go on the home. But you know, you have to understand how hard it is going on the road, regardless of how much experience you have in getting a playoff win. So, make sure you can rest your guys. Don't go out there and injure everybody trying to get wins. But I mean, because what are they 3.5 back of Cleveland right now, something like that?
Or I think
For, I mean, it's February. I mean, I think they're the bosses to the point. Like, you know what? Let us get rolling. Because to me, and that's what I love about the playoffs, really in any sport, the NBA playoffs, I feel like it's like a different movie every single
yeah,
round.
yeah, it's like a whole new season almost.
But it's like I feel like when a team is, I mean, for example, even though Minnesota had just won, like we saw what Dallas was doing to everybody, and we were all like, yeah, Dallas is gonna win that shit, and they did. So I think Boston's like, look, once we get in the playoffs, we're gonna be healthy. It don't matter. We're gonna be so much levels above. Like for example, LeBronto. It didn't matter how good the Raptors were. Where it was, LeBron was gonna go in there and fuck them up. And I think that's how Boston feels, in about Cleveland.
Or no, Boston may feel that way, but is that going to be the reality of the situation? I mean, if you think about it like this, though,
Mm.
I'll say one thing, and I don't want to come off too biasly when I say it. And if it feels like that way, call me out on it. That's totally fine. I still feel when Boston is clicking and going right, I feel that they're still the best team in the NBA. But I
Yeah, me
haven't
too.
seen of that this year to convince me they can go on the road and win a 7 game series against Cleveland.
Cleveland's no joke. I mean, we didn't know what they were gonna be. Beginning of this year, we were all kind of like, eh. When they were like, I think 3-0, you were talking like, look at their schedule. But I mean, shit, look at them now. They're passing the test with flying colors. But we'll see. And then oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I said absolutely they are. Like they passed the test, no question.
And then who do you think makes it out of the West? I'm honestly kind of thinking Oklahoma City.
That's the immediate answer for me too. Is Oklahoma City. I mean, I don't want to say it because it You never still really want to rule out a LeBron and AD led team. It's
They're like
always
six.
there's always that possible chance. You never really want to rule out the Warriors. They got Steph Curry. There's always that chance. But the immediate answer is OKC for sure.
Yeah, I just don't see them. I mean, people want to say they were the worst one seed ever last year. I don't know by record if that's true. I don't think by record it's true. But man, first of all, they only won the one seed last year by like a game. I don't even think it was a game. I think it was like a tiebreaker. They had
And of
played
course,
this.
you can never rule out Denver either. They got the best player in the world on their team.
Yeah, no, exactly. It don't matter. It's same thing with Denver. They have to go on the road. Like the Nuggets have a championship. They've been to the playoffs every year since. I mean, well, shit. The COVID year, they played the Lakers in the conference finals, and then this past year they lost to Minnesota. Like, but they've been to the playoffs every year. Denver has. So there's a lot of teams you don't want to see in the playoffs. I think it's going to be more telling. I don't get too invested in the NBA regular season, man, because there's certain teams to where they'll just run everything, regardless of where they have to play.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But that
I
travel
agree.
is a bitch, though.
I agree there. I try not to invest too much in the NBA regular season. And I can't speak to it exactly. I don't know exactly what it is, but something just looks off this year with Boston. They obviously they still look great from time. Don't get it twisted, but just it doesn't look the same, if that makes sense. And it almost, you got to think about it. It really should look the same. They have the exact same roster.
I know they don't have any. Well, they have Kita. That's only new dude they have.
But starting five, like key rotational players outside of Kata, it's all the same.
Every single one, yeah. Um, yeah, they have like literally every single same player. We'll see, man. I mean, at this point, we also don't, because that was the first time Joe Mazzulla's won a championship. We don't know what he's gonna be like. We've seen Greg Popovich, rest guys. We've seen LeBron and his team kind of tank more or less to get certain matchups in the playoffs. I mean, well, shit. If you look at the NBA standings right now, before we get on to the question, let's just do it real quick because in the Eastern Conference, Celtics are number 2 with 28-11. Knicks are number 3. Magic, Pacers, Bucks. I know we talk bad about Doc Rivers, and it's completely justified, but I'm not wanting to see Milwaukee in a 7-game series.
They don't scare me at all.
Milwaukee can beat Boston in 7 games. I'm just playing. I don't know, man. I just something about Milwaukee, just the weapons they have that they can win a shootout with anybody on any night is what I feel like. But Boston's defense is on another level.
Buddy, but they'll collapse. They got Doc Rivers as a coach. They're gonna fold. It just is what it is.
And Knicks at number 3, Karl Anthony Towns this season. Holy shit!
I fear the Knicks a lot more than I would the Bucks.
If I were you, I'd fear the Knicks more than I would the Cavaliers.
Yeah, because of Brunson and Cat. I can see that.
Cat is playing like a beast this year, man. Like,
yeah, he's playing out of his mind.
Rockets are number 2 in the West. They've been balling out too, but I trust Oklahoma City before anybody. And hell, Denver. I mean, they're 9 games back of first place, but they're only 38 games in. There's no telling where Denver could end up. And man,
Rockets is impressive, man.
You said the Rockets.
The turnaround they've had over the past 3 years been amazing.
Been progressive too. Like the year before last, they weren't that good. This past year, they were like a little bit under 500. I think like 40-42, and now 26-11. 26-12. Sorry. But what's on tap for the question, Big Dog?
It's one of those times, Mr. Blackwell, that I'm just gonna think of one. And so the question that I'm going to go with if you, just you personally, had to live the life of a fictional sports icon, who would you choose?
I'm telling you, it's the questions that we just come up with at the. I'm telling you, man, this lighting is making me look like I'm high. Looks like I'm like my eyes. Um, I would say Rocky, but that shit's no fun. I don't want to fucking be a damn debt collector for some Lone Star. Uh,
Fiction sports icon, man. Who you taking?
I was thinking Apollo Creed, but he literally dies in the ring, so that's cross that off my list. Uh, shit. I'm gonna say Steamin' Willie Beeman. That's a good one. He got a lot of action. Uh, all these guys I'm thinking of had bad shit happen to them. Paul Crew went to prison.
They all do.
Yeah. Uh, any fit. I'm trying to think. I feel like Charlie Conway had it pretty good. Nah. Hmm. But you said live the life. Like,
Yeah.
who's yours? You know what? I think I got one. Fictional sports character. I'll say Shooter McGavin.
Shooter McGavin.
Yeah, like he's always chilling at the country club and whatnot, eating pieces of shit for breakfast. Fuck, shoot, no, cause there, no, I was fiction. Um, I mean, most of the people in the movies. Yeah, I don't know who's yours.
So I got like two that I'm toying with. Because like I said, I just thought of the question off the top of my head like just now. So I was pondering saying a lot of things. There's a few, because you gotta think there's not a perfect answer to this, right? You know what I mean? There's really not a perfect answer. Um, Happy Gilmore is one that comes to mind.
I kind of thought about that. He's so happy.
You kind of just living like an average everyday life. You think you can play hockey, but you can't skate, and then you just all of a sudden one day discover you can drive a golf 400 yards, and you get to play in the professional tour. Like, cool. And he had some shit happen to him along the way, but he seemed relatively healthy. He seemed like everything was going, halfway decent. He had his own place. He had a girlfriend. He had some things going for him. You know, I have kind of like a controversial answer that I don't know if it will go well over a recording, so I'm not gonna say it.
Nah, come on, man. That's what we do here. We don't run from confrontation or controversy.
So I'm gonna
Nothing
word
about
this.
gays. Okay, go ahead.
No, it's I'm gonna word this in the most politically correct manner that I can.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna say this is my answer, but I want you to put this into perspective, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Boucher, obviously, no, listen.
I'm head.
Bobby Boucher isn't aware of his condition and is one of the happiest people he's happy. He's normally always in a good mood. He ends up with a bombshell and could have gotten drafted to the NFL. He had this supernatural strength, and he had to put up with a couple of bullies along the way, but he never let it phase him and was always very happy.
All right. Well, I definitely see why that answer would be. That's funny. Yeah, yeah, you're right though. Like we're feeling bad for him. He's living his best life.
Yeah, he's living a better life than we ever could. Like he is
He watching wrestling. He calling live while they're doing the interviews and shit, talking to the Big Show. Like
a horse at his house.
yeah, there was a horse in that movie.
Steve.
Did he
Oh,
have a
Steve.
horse?
What is Steve?
Oh, Steve. Oh man, Vicky Valancourt. Yeah, no. Yeah, and then he averaged 20 sacks a game. So all the stuff you mentioned, on top of being an NCAA record holder, um, yeah, I mean the dude was well liked. He was humble. Seems like he said a simple life, and in his mind, he was just such an
Got to spear his college professor with no repercussions.
he got to cheat on his SATs too. Like, yeah, no, they what was it? Southwest Louisiana State or something crazy like that.
But
Yeah,
you know,
they went.
I'm aware the stigma around the answer. I'm not saying that is
That's
my
fine.
answer, but
Oh
I'm saying
my! You just said that you. Hold on. I know the answer was wild. I'm just trying to wrap my mind. So you just went. You essentially would like to trade places with someone who very clearly has a mental condition that impairs their. All right. Well, I mean that's fine. I know it's not your answer. So what is your answer?
here's my answer. I said you could statistically lay out reasoning as to why it's a good answer.
Damn, man. That's bad. Yeah, all the dudes I can think of with the sports stories like underdogs, but I don't want to live like an underdog.
No, no.
I could be like I would live like the Rock and be a fucking correctional officer in
Have you
prison
ever
and shit.
seen Blue Mountain State? You could have said like Thad Castle.
Nah, I've never seen Blue Mountain State.
You
I've
didn't
seen
see
I've seen I've seen a little. I've seen like a couple episodes. I've never really sat there and watched it. I was thinking I could be old boy from All American that has like a fucking rich ass. They got like a $3 million mansion. I'm just spitballing here, but yeah, really most of them dudes I'm thinking of like Apollo Creed literally dies in the ring. I mean, he had a pretty nice house though. Happy Gilmore, Happy Gilmore, yeah, he's a good one. He seems like a guy's guy. He seems like he would know how to have some fun,
Yeah,
like an average guy with a bunch of money. How did he finish again? Dead last? Oh yeah, he did great though. Yeah, thanks.
but I think we'll wrap up the show for tonight, man. Another great episode. Gotta just ram it sometimes. I got y'all tonight this weekend, and it's I want this for you guys, bro. I do. I fucking hate the Eagles with every ounce of my being, so I want this for you guys.
And then if we get a chance to play Stafford, gets a chance to stop them from going to the Super Bowl. You thought last year was big. Oh boy. Oh yeah, Detroit ain't ready for us. You got to get past Philly, but Detroit ain't ready.
Lions NFC Championship game in Detroit. Yo, that's what. Yeah, I hope that happens, bro. I hope that happens.
And the winner gets to play Taylor Swift.
I say the
Man,
winner just loses to the Chiefs, anyways.
the Lions are not losing. So good night, America. This has been Mixed Reactions.